stormed all night long, but here we are, bright and cheerful, in the Qigong studio. So today we're going to talk about not only the three treasures, but we're going to talk about the 6 harmonies right after this.
Qigong drumming. Drum up your Qi. Qigong drumming. Drum up your Qi. Drum up your Qi. Qigong drumming. Qigong drumming. Drum up your Qi. Qigong drumming. Drum up your Qi. Qigong drumming.
So we're going to pluck the thyroid. You're going to pluck your neck. You're going to poke the pancreas. You're going to bang your hip bones. You're going to push the pineal. And you're going to pull the pituitary.
Drum your lungs side to side. Drum your lungs side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum your lungs side to side. Drum your lungs side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Drum your kidneys side to side. Drum your kidneys side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum your kidneys side to side. Drum your kidneys side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum your chest side to side. Drum your chest side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum your thighs side to side. Drum your thighs side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum your sacrum side to side. Sacral pump side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum your sacral pump. Drum your sacral pump. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now drum up your arm. Drum down your arm. Drum up your arm. Drum down your arm. Drum up your arm. Drum down your arm. Switch arms. Drum up your arm. Drum down your arm. Now drum your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drum your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drum your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Switch your leg. Now drum your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drum your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Drum your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now drum your heart. Drum your lungs. Drum your heart. Drum your lungs. Qigong. Qigong side to side. Now drum your heart. Drum your lungs. Drum your lungs. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now slap your liver on the right. Slap your spleen on the left. Slap your liver on the right. Slap your spleen on the left. Drum your liver. Drum your spleen. Drum your liver. Drum your spleen. Drum your liver. Drum your spleen. Qigong side to side. Now drum your belly side to side. Drum your belly side to side. Drum your belly side to side. Old age, sickness, suffering, and death.
Old age, sickness, suffering, and death. Prevention is the only cure.
Qigong debates my breath.
To live a drug-free life and more. Asthma, allergies, diabetes, heart disease.
Qigong is the only cure. Qigong lifestyle is for me, so I can be pain-free.
And do more. Sickness, suffering, death. Prevention is the only cure.
Qigong debates my breath.
To live a drug-free life and more. Asthma, allergies, diabetes, heart disease.
Qigong is the only cure. Qigong lifestyle is for me.
So I can be pain-free and do more. Pluck your thyroid side to side. Pluck your thyroid side to side. Qigong side to side. We do this 16 times. I want you to sing it with me. Pluck your thyroid side to side. Pluck your thyroid side to side. Qigong side to side. Now pancreas poke side to side. Pancreas poke side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now bang your hip bones, gonad bump. Bang your hip bones, gonad bump. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Now make little hammers at your fingertips. Pineal push side to side. Pineal push side to side. Qigong. Cranial tap side to side. Cranial tap side to side. Qigong side to side. Qigong side to side. Put your thumb on your temple. Pull out your forehead. Pituitary pull side to side. Pituitary pull, side to side. Qi-Gong, side to side. Qi-Gong, side to side. Pituitary pull, side to side. Pituitary pull, side to side. Qi-Gong, side to side. Okay. I don't often go into a detailed explanation. Turn that down just a touch. I don't often go into a detailed explanation about what we just did. So I want to do that at this time and understand why Qigong is so helpful to your healing process, okay? So we've talked about the endocrine glands before, the pineal, pituitary, thyroid, thymus, pancreas, adrenals, and the gonads. But when we do the sacral bone and then we do the cranial tap, that stimulates the flow of cerebrospinal fluid. Now, the cerebrospinal fluid lubricates the brain and the eyeballs and the spine. So when you sit all day long or you stand on your feet all day long, fluid has a tendency to collect at the base of the spine. Now, they do not know how the sacral pump works. It's not tied to the breath, it's not tied to the heart, it's not tied to the lymphatic system. They just know it works. They can't connect it to any brainwave patterns. It just automatically works completely on its own. But you can disrupt it through your bad posture. So when we do the whole morning routine to get your qi flowing. Now, when we shake the hand, we're literally creating the suppleness and the flexibility of the blood vessels in the wrist, because the blood vessels in the wrist are going to be clogged before the blood vessels in the elbow. So the Chinese say that they can predict high blood pressure 5 years ahead of time. They can predict heart disease 5 years before Western medicine can predict heart disease. Now, there's a membrane around the heart called the pericardium. Now, the Chinese believe the pericardium is the physical heart, and what we call heart is the emotional heart. Now, when I first heard this, I was like, yeah, right, okay, because everything Chinese was foreign the first time I heard it. But over the last 30-something years, I graduated acupuncture school in 1981. We're talking 40 years. 40 years doing acupuncture, 38 years doing Qigong. So over the last 40 years, I've come to understand that when you get excited about something, your heart speeds up. And when you're sad about something, your heart slows down. So your heart rate is totally dependent upon your emotional state. Wow, that is completely mind-blowing. And heart disease is the #1 cause of death because we're not managing our emotions properly. So that's what we do in Qigong, and that's why we play music with Qigong to boost your spirit and make you feel good. Now, one of the people I studied with many years ago was Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins is known for doing 12-hour workshops. And when people energy drops or they're falling asleep, he has everybody jump up and yell for 60 seconds at the top of their lungs. And that movement generates endorphins. And qi is part of the endorphin process. So now we're going to go into the 6 harmonies. So we have elbow, shoulder, wrist, hip, knee, ankle. Now, what are the 6 harmonies and why is that important? Because as we age, we get stiff. The #1 surgery in America is knee replacement. #2 is hip replacement. #3 is shoulder replacement. So hips, knees, and shoulders is because our posture is poor and we don't exercise. Now, what makes the joint move is the opposing muscle. Bicep pulls it in, tricep pushes it out, okay? For the wrist, it's the same thing. We have the forearm, back arm, forearm, back arm. So what are we not doing? Now, if you just did push-ups against a wall, it's very good. So you can just move 2 feet back from the wall, just 2 and do push-ups against the wall, okay? And you can start with 10 push-ups, okay? Now, pay no attention to the fact that some people say, those are girl push-ups. No, it also helps during stress. The other thing you can do is just hang from a bar, because when you hang from a bar, it releases the stress on the trapezius and elongates the spine. And it takes that stress from the gravity compression of your spine. So that is also very, very important. So those are 2 things you can do right away, okay? Now, the side movement of the shoulder. So we have a deltoid and we have the posterior deltoid. So if you've been following me for a while, you know I always have you going backwards, okay? Going forwards is easy. Going backwards is hard. So it's that posterior deltoid that we need to work on, okay? Because if the posterior deltoid is locked up or weak, then you can't move your shoulder. So if you've been following me for a while, you know I do all these shoulder movements. These things are really, really important, is to move the shoulders, okay? So that's the first sign of aging, is lack of shoulder mobility. Now, another shoulder is the side. So you can grab your shoulder and then pull, and that creates what we call dynamic tension. Tibetan Qigong, which is a separate course that I teach, we work a lot on the side shoulders. And when we do the dragon sticks, we work on the deltoid, the side, okay? And the front of the anterior deltoid is when we do the Qi cups. So I've got half a dozen friends that own gyms, and for a few years, they used to come to me and say, oh, Qigong doesn't do anything to build muscle. And then when I finally got them into the class, they're like, dude, this is a harder workout than I teach at my gym. So I know that this builds muscle, okay? And then, so what we do in the Tibetan Qigong is we use dynamic tension and we are pushing down, but this hand is resisting. So this hand is pushing down, this hand is resisting. Okay, so you get the anterior deltoid and you get the posterior deltoid here. And we do that, okay? So we've got exercises that cover every aspect of the shoulders. Now, the hips have to move forward and back, and the hips go side to side. So in the last dance, hula to the left, side to side, hula to the right, side to side. Now, I had a patient who had arthritis of the hips, and she was 70 years old, and she couldn't move her hips, she couldn't walk without a cane. So I asked her what her favorite music was in high school. And I went through my playlist, I found songs from her favorite artist, and then I had her do right, left, back, forward, and then right, left. And in less than 15 minutes, we got mobility in her hips. She says, I can't, the pain went away. Now I had another patient, again, 88 years old, couldn't walk without a cane. Actually, she was in a wheelchair. So I had them take her out of the wheelchair. And then I asked her along her leg. And it turns out the pain was in the tensor fascia lata, so she couldn't move, okay? She couldn't move this way. So it's okay. 10 minutes later, pain in the leg was gone. 10 minutes later. So that's what I got to tell you. 6 harmonies. Now, when we do the limp swing, up on your toes, rock back on your heels. This is called the calf rock. So this is heels and knees, okay? So your butt goes back. So forward and back. So this is working the 6 harmonies. You're getting the 6 harmonies in the limp swing. $50. $80. $101, $102, $103, $104, $105, $106, $107, $108. Wow. So the limp swing is not only for the lymphatic system. It's not only to take stress out of the trapezius. It's not only to increase the volume of the lungs, but it's also for the 6 harmonies. We've come to the conclusion of part 1. Thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and see you in part 2.